Hi everyone, welcome to Ship Talk. My name is Jared, co-founder of Lojistic, where we help companies better monitor, manage, and reduce their shipping costs. Today I'm joined by my colleague Brian to discuss rate increases. Brian, let's get into rate increases.
Yeah.
So, in the world of parcel shipping, how are rate increases typically rolled out?
Typically and historically, the rate increases come out usually at the end of the year. So the carriers will usually sometime around October, late October, early November, sometime in that time frame, they'll announce that a rate increase is coming. FedEx usually does it the first week of the new year, and UPS will usually implement theirs the last week of that particular year.
Yep. And what have we seen in the past couple of years that is a little bit out of the ordinary as it relates to rate increases?
Yeah, well, how great is this? If you're UPS and FedEx, apparently you can have a rate increase whenever you want. Over the last couple of years, they've been implementing surcharges, especially like this year even is a good example of them just implementing surcharges based on what they would consider an increase in cost to them. And God, how great would it be if every company out there could, hey, we're increasing our costs, we're gonna pass that on automatically to our customers. So the last couple of years, they've really been implementing surcharges or changing certain surcharges within the middle of the year outside of the normal rate increase.
So it sounds like the annual rate increase has become a thing of the past, and now they're doing it throughout the year whenever they want.
When they want, or when they consider that they need, and their explanation to every customer is, we need to do this because, well, really it's the way they term it or position it is, we're doing the best thing for the industry and the ability to move your packages the best way we can.
Sure, it's an interesting spin.
Yeah.
So who is impacted or affected by rate increases?
Really if you go upstream, really the first one is the shippers, right? Any customer, UPS or FedEx customer. And ultimately, depending on how those charges are passed down to who's paying for them, ultimately, the consumer. So it could be anywhere from the shipper at first and then all the way down to the consumer level as customers have to increase maybe the cost of their product in order to recover the cost of any increases that the shipper might be putting in place.
Sure. So you just mentioned that rate increases typically in the past have happened on an annual basis. And
right.
More recently, in the past couple of years, they've been happening throughout the year,
right.
Multiple times. Are there any other trends that we're seeing as it relates to rate increases?
A big trend right now is them just changing the rules as they apply to certain surcharges. So, and the big ones right now are really size and weight related surcharges. And them changing the rules, whether it's maybe bringing down the minimum weight that a surcharge might be applied, or changing, like we talked about in a past video about the dim factors, is changing those. But it's really changing the rules that surround surcharges. And that's probably the biggest trend we're seeing right now.
So, how much do rates typically increase each year?
So this is actually a good question, because if you're familiar with the annual rate increase notification that the carriers put out, you'll see that the annual rate increase is an average of 4.9%. It's been that way for the last 5 to 10, 15 years. Every annual rate increase says it's an average of 4.9%.
Keyword being average.
Right. Which is great. And that's only, however, taking into account the service level rate change. So if you took the service level for ground, let's say, service level, or the rate chart actually, and you looked at the difference between one year to the next, sure, you'll see an average of 4.9%. If you take all the weights and all the zones, you got a difference of 4.9%. The issue is, and this is where a lot of customers get impacted the most, is with the surcharges. Surcharges, over the last few years have gone up, and especially the size-related surcharges have gone up anywhere from 15 to 20%. So for sure, the rate itself, service level, ground service level, depending on your actual usage, your average zone, your average weight, that rate increase might not necessarily be 4.9%. And then you couple that with any surcharges that are being applied, your average rate increase for a given customer might be anywhere from 10 to 15%, not 4.9.
So it could be a little misleading if you're forecasting based off of the 4.9% average.
Right, that's not a good gauge at all.
Okay. And What are some of the strategies to mitigate or offset rate increases?
The first one is, as we always talk about, is planning, right? So what you want to make sure that you do is, or that you know, is what the actual impact is. So you really want to take the rate increase information that you get, service level charges, along with all of the actual surcharge increases, and apply those to basically your shipping history.
Your characteristics,
Yeah,
right?
your own characteristics to see what that actual rate increase is what the impact is. Is it a 4.9 or is it 10? Is it 15? Depending on what that is, you'll want to basically go back to the carrier and talk about different areas to maybe mitigate some of the costs or some of the increases.
Sure. Do the carriers ever cap their rate increase?
They do. We don't see a lot of those, but absolutely, that's one of the negotiables that we always talk about. There's no reason for any customer to not ask for a rate cap.
But it's a customized thing.
Sure, for sure. Yep. Okay. You absolutely have to ask for it because it's not something that the carrier is going to proactively offer at all.
Okay. So it sounds like data and an understanding of your characteristics is pretty important when it comes to understanding how a rate increase, whether that's mid-year or annual, is going to impact your business.
Absolutely, and you can lean on the carrier for help. You challenge your account manager, ask them to help you make sense of all the charges and what the actual impact of that rate increase is going to be, or lean on someone like a Lojistic to absolutely go through all the data and ensure that whatever that rate increase is, that you understand it, and then go after whatever you need to go after in order to make sure you can try to mitigate it.
Great. Well, Bri, thanks for the insight, and thank you everybody for watching. For more information on how you can join the thousands of businesses currently using Lojistic to help monitor, manage, and reduce their shipping costs, please visit our website at www.lojistic.com, where you can create a free account. Till next time, take care.